Hello again to the non-dual lectionary. This video is for the second week after Christmas in year C, which turns out to be this year the first Sunday of 2025. Our gospel lesson for this Sunday is John chapter 1, verses 10 through 18. This overlaps with the second reading for Christmas in the lectionary cycle this year, which started with John chapter 1, verse 1. And I talked about that in the second of the Christmas videos I did for year C, just a couple videos ago on the playlist. So if you haven't watched that one, I'd encourage you to pause here and watch that. It does overlap. That goes through verse 14, and I'm going to pick up with some of the themes that we talked about there. But starting from the gospel lesson for this week, verse 10, I'll read. He was in the world, and the world came into being through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born not of blood or of the will of the flesh or of the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. John testified to him and cried out, "This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me ranks ahead of me, because he was before me. From his fullness we have all received, grace upon grace. The law indeed was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God. The Son It is the only Son, himself God, who is close to the Father's heart, who has made him known." So from the Christmas video, what I talked about is this is one of the first uh, readings we've had that I really think is evoking. It's speaking directly to that part in us that already knows, that already is our true nature, and kind of seeking to evoke that recognition of what's already there, of what already is. Um, and this selection in particular, I think, really, I want to kind of note 2 points about this. The first is um, the shift from conception to experience, understanding, realization. A lot of this, I think, speaks directly to that notion of something beyond the mind, beyond conception. So he was in the world, and the world came into being through him, yet the world did not know him. The world here being, I think, the world of mind and conception and ideas and beliefs and philosophies. So although this Atman Brahman non-dual recognition is in the world, it's of the world, it's not separate from the world, yet the world of ideas and conceptions cannot conceive of that. Um, and 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 yet to all who received, right, to all who understand that, to all who recognize that, um, we have the power here to become children of God. Again, what Alan Watts called that, Jesus came as a son of God to show all of us that we too are sons of God or daughters. And more, it speaks to the same idea here. The world became flesh and lived among us, right? There was this shift um, from conception and idea, from philosophy to direct experience, full of grace and truth. Again, the when we go from to verse 17 down to here, the law was given through Moses. I think we can look at that as ideas, philosophies, beliefs were given through Moses, but the experience, the recognition came through Jesus Christ. Um, again, that move from from idea to experience, or from mental conception to experience. That mental conception cannot get, though. That's that first point again at the top. Um, and so I think that's one of the things that just kind of jumps clear here is that shift. The second, though, I think we can make it even closer, and I think it is pointing here. Um, Although there is that overlap with Jesus Christ, I mean, explicitly here in verse 17. Again, one of the I think one of the unlocking keys of a non-dual understanding and a non-dual recognition of what's conveyed through the Gospels is that what's out there is really in here. So although this seems to be talking about, um, something external, right? The word out there or Jesus Christ out there. What if we instead look at it as something happening inside ourselves, right? And so then it's the shift from ideas inside ourselves, right? The and and the shift from that to the manifested enfleshed recognition and realization of our true nature, not just the idea of our true nature. So there, and the word became flesh and lived among us, lived within us. The idea became manifest because we recognized our true nature. And then we have seen his glory, right? It's our glory. It's the internal, what shines from within. The glory as of a father's only son, full of grace and truth. So that I think is the second unlocking key here, and really just opens us up beautifully about, expressing that recognition, that realization. And then again, I mean, non-dual upon non-dual, right? That external understanding, that the way of seeing like an enfleshed teacher manifesting this in the world in the Gospels, at least through Jesus Christ, resonates and reinforces the internal understanding that we have that the teacher, the guru and the student, the teacher and the student are not separate themselves either. And so the external understanding of this as talking about Jesus Christ is not even separate from the internal understanding, talking about the Christ non-dual, no self-realization within our true nature shining through. And then just one little note on I think that if you're not convinced, the statement from John, he who comes after me ranks ahead of me because he was before me. There's no way that that's talking about a person in time because it doesn't make any sense. He ranks ahead of me but came before me. He's talking about I mean, this is a direct communication of reminiscent of the Zen koan of your original face before your parents were born. That he ranks ahead of me because he was before me, because the no self, true nature recognition is outside of time. It's not before me in time. It's uh, eternal because it's ever present. So that's just again, I think, just a beautiful expression of in the end, um, a recognition and an experience that people had in the presence of Jesus Christ, but that resonated and evoked the recognition in themselves and again today in ourselves of fundamentally at base our true nature, which is what is.